inviting us here, so I have an opportunity to thank you, and also to thank my dear sister, Secretary General Patricia Scotland, for this fantastic meeting. I think when one talks about common future, President Kagame said it already, and I think also what just said by Mokhtar. When you enter Kigali, it's different every single time you enter it. The last time I came to see the president was 3 years ago, and I couldn't even recognize Kigali when I got here. So when we talk about a common future needs good leadership to shape that future, and that's what you have here. And I also think that kind of common future is what Patricia Scotland just very well explained to us here just this morning. The second thing I want to say is, just listening to the Secretary General, just as she was talking, you were saying that the size of the economy of the Commonwealth will go, it's about $13 trillion. Now, but the issue is, it's concentrated though. 5 countries are the ones that actually control most of those. That is UK, that is Australia, Canada, maybe Nigeria, and India. So that common future must be exactly what President Kagame said, commonwealth. It must be well shared all across. The second one is also that the common future must be the future of the youth. And when I was just watching up there, and you said 60% of the population of the Commonwealth is less than the age of 29. So the future is here. So we got to make sure that we build the Commonwealth for the youth. It's 73 years old, but it's actually a very young Commonwealth. And the last point I wanted to make on the common future is what Malice said. We cannot have a common future without a common planet. So we have to have climate resilience. We have to make sure that, as also President Kagame and also Mokhtar was saying, that we also have vaccines. Today we are here, we are doing well because we have vaccines, but it's an inequitable access to vaccines. Only 16% of Africa has access to vaccines. So we cannot have that common future in which we all live unless we have equitable access to vaccines. The issue is we have to create youth-based wealth. You know, if you have a demographic that is actually aging in some places, and a lot more in terms of young people, what they actually need is access to skills, to education, to finance. It's very, very critical that we do that. Now, let me give some concrete examples about how we are doing this at the African Development Bank. You know, we've put the issue of jobs for youth in Africa at the center of what we do. When I was elected president of the bank, 7 days before I took my job, I went to, what is that place in your country? Gore Island, Mr. President. I went over there and I stood in this door, which you call the door of no return. And that's where they took all the slaves out. And I asked myself when I go back into my car, this is where they took all of our talents, our strong people, everybody out. But then I got into my car and I started thinking, today, those people left, they were taken against their volition. And I hope that our young people will realize that, because the size of the food and ag business in Africa by 2030 is going to be a whopping $1 trillion. So if you're trying to be a billionaire, it's not going to come from oil and gas. Nobody drinks oil, nobody smokes gas, everybody eats food. And so we got to be into agriculture as a business. The third thing that I want to say is finally about how we finance young people. You know, he was just saying, Fortes was talking about how we finance the issue of climate and energy transition. But today you look at Africa, our financial institutions are not set up for young people. We have missing financial institutions. We have actually missing markets to serve them. We have a population, young people, Julie, 455 million people. It's going to rise to 845 million by 2050. So we have to create new financial ecosystems around young people. And that's why at the African Development Bank, we took the decision that we are going to now create what is called Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Banks. There will be new financial institutions. There will be, Mr. President, There'll be new financial institutions that will create ecosystems of support around the businesses of young people. Today, you go to a bank, you're trying to get money. They ask you, how old are you? You say 21 years old. They said, go and bring your tax receipts for the last 40 years. What does that really mean? So, but these youth entrepreneurship investment banks will finance the businesses of young people in a life cycle model throughout, as you use different instruments, from technical assistance to debt to equity financing, to grow their businesses. The point I'm trying to make is this. The future that we were talking about at the beginning of this panel, for it to happen, we have to create new financial institutions that can create youth-based wealth. And that is what we are focusing on. And those institutions, by the way, we're designing them now. They'll be ready by the end of this month.
Excellent. Excellent.